Good day, collectors and viewers. Social Distance Warrior is back, and today we're going to look at Jedi Knight Aayla Secura. Aayla Secura, of course, made her debut back in 2003 in Attack of the Clones, but for those of you that don't know, before her movie fame, she was actually based on a character from a Star Wars comic titled Star Wars number 19 back in 1998. We'll throw a picture up there just to show you. George Lucas really liked the character and then decided to bring the character into his movie and have it as, one of his very famous and common background characters who seem to populate the Star Wars universe and make it so exciting for us so we can play in it. So Aayla Secura made her debut in Attack of the Clones, which debuted in 2002, the movie did. She'd see action figure form in 2003. Now, an interesting little tidbit on this character debut in action figure form, she actually made her debut sculpting wise and announcement wise at Celebration 2, which was in Indianapolis. And I was fortunate enough to be able to attend Indianapolis and see the Hasbro booth and watch the character getting created. And they had her in behind the glass in action figure form. They're actually sculpting her there. And it was a great sight to see of an upcoming character. And, it was such an unusual thing at the time. Got to remember, this is the second prequel movie that's going to be coming out, and Celebration 2 was just before, approximately a month before, or within a month of that movie coming out. And there was a whole panel there, and then all the actors from the movie, including Hayden Christensen, were in attendance. And seeing or hearing that we're going to get all these Jedis on screen at the same time was definitely, a dream come true, especially if you're a Star Wars fan that grew up and always wondered what Obi-Wan was talking about when he said, before the dark times, before the Empire, how good it was back in the Republic days. So Aayla Secura, of course, is one of those characters. The Saga line would make its debut in 2002, and then she'd get her action figure released finally in 2003. That's the one that we see in front of us over here. Now, a lot of the figures came with action figure features at the time, and of course she's one of them as well. She comes on this awesome stand that's got little tabs here on the bottom where you can connect them to other ones. It's specific to her. You can see now when I take her off the stand that it's designed for her feet to sit on. If I bring that up close, you can see it's got little footprints of her feet over here on the side where the foot peg is, and of course over here as well where the foot peg is. There's like little feet prints over here as well. So you can see that it's supposed to, symbolize or depict the fact that they had this big battle going on Geonosis there. And that's the stand that they came with. And this is just a nice little feature, an accessory that the figures came with. And that's what it looks like underneath. And you can see there it says 2003 Lucasfilm Limited, Hasbro, China. It's a solid plastic. It's painted nicely on top there. And I have this sitting in front of my Geonosis arena and have her standing there in the action pose. And you can see there's a tab where you can connect it to another one. And then just underneath here, you can see there's a little bit of a slit where you can attach it to another one that's got that little tab and connect them and make your adventure with these characters going forward. So that's the stand that she came with. Let's look at the character. So here's the character right now. Right away, you can see that she's in an action pose like all the characters, most of them were at the time. But she's in an amazing action pose. Like, we're finally getting characters that are sculpted phenomenally and with much more realism. And you can see that Aayla Secura, of course, is one of the figures that takes advantage of that awesome new sculpting. As far as articulation, we're going to look at that in a second. But she does have an accessory here, which is the lightsaber. The lightsabers came with metal hilts, which was neat. You can actually take these plastic parts off. The lightsaber part, you can take it off just so she has a hilt. But then they have these little finicky tabs on the bottom of them. Let's see if I can take this one out over here without damaging it. And it's, it goes right in there. But over time, they're very, very fragile. They can break very easily. So I tend not to take it out, but I'll do it for the review. So that's the lightsaber that she came with. And if you look in her hand over here, you can see that she does have a magnet. So these were like force effects that the figures came with. They're a nice little neat action features. I actually miss this sort of stuff on the characters. And if you bring your lightsaber close there, she can hold it without even having to, you know, grasp it with her hand. So that's a pretty neat thing there with the characters. We'll take the lightsaber out just to look at her a little bit more close up. So let's have a look at the head sculpt. So now the head technically is on a ball. I've never tried to remove it, but you can see detail wise it moves back and forth. It doesn't have any movement really up or down. So I never really tried to take the head off to check, but you can see the paint job on the face there. You know, there's eyeliner, there's nice eyebrows, the lips are painted, the eyes, the pupils, everything's painted on this character. And we're going back almost 20 years for this action figure. And if we turn that head all the way around, you can see, you know, the design and the wrappings on her, on the back of her head here as well. You can see the detail that they've put into this character. I love this character. It's such a nice figure to stand in the arena, and she stood the test of time because she's not exaggerated. Although it'd be nice to not have her in a fixed action pose, she serves her purpose, especially in the arena, to try and save our Jedis and Padme from the separatist army and the Geonosian, the evil Geonosians and droidicas that are there, right? So as far as articulation on the character itself, you can see here she has articulation here up. Nice swivel there right at the shoulder, so you can maneuver that up and down, forward. Now these are articulation points that were not common on action figures at the time, so it was nice to see these extra pieces of realism on there. As far as her outfit, it seems like it's a separate piece here that's attached from her head down, comes all the way across, but it's not removable, it's fixed on there. There's nothing at the elbow here, and her hand is in a fixed position. She can hold her lightsaber very well, okay? And we can see down here at the waist that she does have movement there as well. We can turn her side to side. Now, she doesn't turn at the waist itself, but she turns up here further up. But nicely back and forth there, so you have that articulation. As far as the legs, they're in an action pose, right? So you can move them, but you can only, you know, fix them in that spot there. She looks like she's giving somebody a kick, or she's about to step on a battle droid. But that's, and almost like she's got Doc Martens on there, but that's Aayla Secura. As far as the leg down here, there's no extra movement. There's nothing at the knee, nothing at the ankle. She does have her foot peg there. Now, interesting, the other leg has a little more articulation. So you can also move that leg up and down, slightly up and down. It's kind of difficult to move. There's not really much you can do. You can't really sit her down because her legs are going to be too spread apart to have any kind of motion to have her seated. But she does have, you know, a slit here on her thigh right there where you can turn that leg side to side. So, I mean, you can position the leg, I guess, this way a little bit or that way. They try to add a little bit extra realism to that character. She does have a separate piece belt here that's on there that gives it a nice look, a little added realism on the character. If we turn her upside down here, you can see that she does have the slots on her feet to stand on the stand that she comes with, and her feet are very, very small. So it's nice that she has that stand because she'd fall over very easily. Even the peg holes, they go in pretty deep, which is neat. They've designed that well to stand on that stand to display. So that's what Aayla Secura looks like from the front. You can see this arm over here. It does have the same articulation at the elbow as the other one there, so you can move that up and down. But you also have added movement here just above the elbow, where you can turn the character's arm up and down slightly. Mine's a little bit stiff there, but that turns slightly up and down. And then of course she does have that magnet on her hand there inside the hand, and it's still holding up. These things tend to dissolve or fall apart a little bit after time, but it's still holding together for the time being, considering it's almost 20 years old. So that's what she looks like from the front. We turn her to the side, that's Aayla Secura from the side, and then from the back, that's what she looks like from the back. And she's nicely painted. Her outfit is nicely weathered, especially here on the top. The back added realism to that character. And of course she comes on that nice stand, so we can use those foot pegs to get her back in position and back on her stance, and then put lightsaber back in her hand. So that's the very first version we get of Aayla Secura. We wouldn't have to wait a very, very long time to get another one. Of course, that was Attack of the Clones, where she made her debut, and we'd have to wait 3 years for the next movie, but only 2 years for the next action figure. So in 2005, as part of Revenge of the Sith, we get another Aayla Secura, and of course she'd make an appearance in that movie, and a sad appearance towards the end when the Emperor decides to execute Order 66, and then we'd see what fortune and what destiny lots of Jedis had on that day. And Aayla Secura, of course, was one of them, because she never suspected that her clones would turn on her, like many other Jedis did. So she'd get a release, a newer release in that version. I don't have the character with me here. I'll put the camera up. I can't for the life of me find where I've put that figure, but nonetheless, we'll talk about it. A slightly different sculpt, of course, a little more modernized sculpt on that character. She's positioned at this time without that action feature where her legs are spread in an action pose. You can't do much with her. Yeah, she's definitely more detailed, more articulation on that character. And that was her second release. Now, she'd also get another release the same year in 2005, and this one would be exactly the same figure as that Revenge of the Sith one, but in Jedi hologram form. So they made holographic versions of a lot of the characters, and she's one of the ones that was released in the line, as well as a few other Jedi Masters. And that we'll throw a picture up just so we can see that there. Worth mentioning. And then we wouldn't see another Aayla Secura until many years later. So Hasbro decides to release the Vintage Collection. And with the Vintage Collection, they've released, a lot of versions, a lot of new characters in premium format, or in their best versions or best sculpts to date. And then that would be thrown on that vintage style card back for collectors that like to collect them on card. And of course, had an extra version of that character in perfect action figure form. And she'd get her release in 2012 as part of the Vintage Collection. I have that character over here, and it's a brand new sculpt, and it doesn't disappoint. She did come with a cloak as well as a lightsaber that was lit, but I'm going to just show you that in a second. I'm just going to look at the character close up here so we can see how far we've come from the previous few sculpts, and then all the way to 2012 now with a perfect rendition of Aayla Secura. We'll bring her up close just to have a nice look at her head sculpt. You can see the head sculpt is a lot more realistic. Looks almost identical to the actress that was on screen for the character there. And the sculpt is amazing on the head. We'll look at that all the way around, and it's on a ball. And you can see the wrappings that are on her head there, and the detail and the paint color. Nice close-up there of the eyes, the mouth, the nose, the ears coming through the side of her her outfit there. Head is on a ball, so we can move that around fully. Aayla Secura can. Okay, she does have swivel there at the shoulders, so you can move that all the way up. The articulation is amazing in this character. Of course, we have it now at the elbow as well, and we have it at the wrist as well. So we have full articulation on this character. That's the same on both arms. If we move down over here, we can see that we do have movement here at the waist as well, or the upper part of the waist where the chest area is. There is a little bit of movement up and down there, which is nice. So you can put her in a number of action poses and have her aiming upward or aiming downward, whichever way you want. But they've gone all out with this character design. They've given it a lot of love, considering this is basically her third release in less than 10 years, which we can't say the same for with a lot of other characters, but she is a popular one. Again, separate piece here for the belt that comes across. And then, of course, if we go down to the legs here, we'll see that the legs are on a swivel right at the very top there. So you can put her in any kind of action pose. Have her kicking, have her legs out on both sides. Over here at the knees as well, we have articulation. We can bend her at the knees. We can turn that part of the knee there as well. Okay. Both sides, same thing. And of course, we can do the same thing down here at the ankle. So we can move her around at the ankle there as well. And of course, we can have her on her tiptoes, and she's got her fancy boots there. So they haven't disappointed in the sculpt, and she looks amazing standing. She's a perfect sculpt, perfect proportion on the character from head to toe, and she'll stand nicely with the rest of your Jedis. You do see that she does have a lightsaber hilt, which can attach to the belt, so I've left that on there just to show you as well. So underneath here, we can see that she does have foot pegs. They're very, very tiny foot pegs, so it's hard to get them on a stand. But nonetheless, the foot pegs are there if need be. If not, then you can just use sticky tack to get her to stand. This hand over here does have, the fingers projected where she is pointing or using the force on that other hand there. So she's got a nice action pose there as well. So that's Aayla Secura from the front. Let's just straighten her out a little bit just so we can see. There she is from the front, and that's what she looks like from the side. Okay. And then that's what she looks like from the back as well. So you can see a perfectly scaled action figure, Aayla Secura, that we got in the vintage collection. And she wasn't very easy to get as well at the time. So if you were lucky enough to score one, you did get that figure. It wasn't until many years later that I got one, and I ended up getting one loose. I don't have one carded in the vintage collection from that original release. So that's from 2012. Let's see if we can get her to stand. Yes, we can. We wouldn't get another Aayla Secura till many years later. So Hasbro came back out. The vintage collection went dormant, and then they came back out in 2018. And then, you know, it's been around now for almost 4 years. We're going on 4 years right now. And we did get a new Aayla Secura to our surprise as part of the 50th Lucasfilm limited edition. Clone Wars. So the Clone Wars cartoon, the micro series that came out before the Clone Wars that we know with Dave Filoni, she had an appearance there as well, and they did make an action figure of that character, and it's exactly the same sculpt as the vintage collection one, but with slightly different paint apps. And I do have that one on card. I'm going to show you that one here. That's this one over here. So we'll bring that forward just to have a look at the card. Now the card back does say the Clone Wars, and it does have that logo from that original micro series. A nice name pill there saying Aayla Secura. We bring that back. We can see her profile picture over here from the cartoon series. And then over here we can see the figure in the bubble. And you can see that the figure in the bubble does have the robe on, just like the original one did, with the lightsaber hilt. And then, of course, the lightsaber as well ignited. So you have her in many different action poses, as well as the Kenner logo there. So that's the figure from the front, and then we'll turn that around to the back, just have a look at it. We can see it's vintage collection VC number 217. And then here's some other characters that were in the micro series with Aayla Secura. And then, of course, a little timeline here with Lucasfilm for the 50 years from its inception to 2021. So that's the figure carded. I do have the figure loose as well. We're going to look at that one in a sec. That's this one over here. So it's basically the exact same figure as that vintage collection one, but with a slightly different paint job. I actually prefer this one a little bit better because the paint job is a little lighter, and the way I always remember her is with that lighter paint job, because that's how that original figure was, as opposed to the one that came out in the vintage collection. We'll put them side by side just to have a look. You can see the skin tone is a lot different. You can also see the difference with the real scan technology. This one is the likeness of this one is completely the same as the actress that played Aayla Secura, and this one over here is more of just that model action figure look. So you can see how far they've come with the likeness on the face, which is quite amazing. So she does have her robe on, and I love these robes because the robe is unique to this character. It fits perfectly on her. You can see it all the way around there. So if you had that robe on your character, you can have her, you know, with the hood up or the hood down, whichever way you like. She does have lightsaber in hand. The lightsaber, you can see there, and it's ignited. So it's a re-release of that original one there. The robe itself, it's identical to the other one that it came with. We can just take that off just to have a look at the character and do a nice little comparison just so you can see how she compares to that original one. But you can see the paint job is a lot brighter, a little more of that cartoon look, but still realistic enough to be in your vintage collection if you never had a chance to grab the other one. And again, I actually prefer this one because I like the lighter colors on it. It just pops a little bit better when it's sitting on the shelf or in display. So exactly the same character. We're not going to go over the articulation, but it's exactly the same character as the other one. But we'll do a nice little side-by-side comparison just to see what they look like side by side. So you can see the difference in the painting on the character. It looks like a different figure, so you'd instantly know if you saw one in store and someone was trying to sell you a vintage collection Aayla Secura, you'd know it was the Clone Wars one versus the original one just by that paint job, dark to light, and even the outfit herself. This one's a brown, this one's more of a dark brown over here as well. So again, if you never had a chance to get this figure over here from the original release, then you were able to score this one in 2022 as part of the vintage collection Clone Wars version. She's an awesome one as well. Awesome character, awesome Jedi Knight that stands well in the collection. So that would be all the Aayla Securas we'd get in the vintage collection. We did get one in the Clone Wars. So the Clone Wars animated series released a version of Aayla Secura in 2010. They did with a lot of the other Star Wars characters she'd get one as well. That's this one over here. And she did come with some scuba gear outfit that would, with a backpack that would sit over her, and you could put it over the mouthpiece. And she had goggles, but we're just going to look at the character itself as not the accessories. And it's a nice version of Aayla Secura. One thing I really liked about the Clone Wars series is the figures. You could tell they were from the cartoon series, that they weren't the realistic ones, and you'd have them side by side in the store, and you could choose. And I used to grab both of them because at the time my son was very small, and I wanted to make sure that I had the toys so he could play with them, and as well as, you know, the realistic ones so that I could play with them. So that's the characters that I had, and I did sell off some of them over the years, but I did hold on to some like Aayla Secura because I really like the sculpts on these characters. That defining look of that animated series is really nice on the Star Wars characters, and you can see the paint job on this one as well. Doesn't disappoint. Like, they didn't cheap out because it was the animated series. They made them as realistic as the main character figures from the movies as well. So as far as articulation, her head is on a ball there as well. You can see you can move that around side by side, up and down, painted nicely. She does have swivel here at the shoulders, so you can move her arms up, down, side by side, any way you want. Same thing at the elbows, so she has articulation there at the elbows, as well as the wrists as well. So fully detailed, fully articulated action figures. She does turn at the waist here as well, and there's a slightly movement, side by side, up and down slightly. As far as the legs, no swivel here at the thighs, but you can move her legs up, okay, that high there, and then you do have articulation here at the knee. So you can bend the knees, and you can see it's in that artistic style of the Clone Wars. You can turn her legs there at the knee as well, and she does have articulation here at the ankle as well. So you can move her boot up and down slightly, not much, but they didn't cheap out and not add that articulation down there, so you're fully articulated with Aayla Secura there. If we turn her upside down, we can see she does have her foot pegs underneath there. We can see they're nice big foot pegs considering how small the feet are. So she stands on the stand really nicely. So that's what she looks like from the front, and that's what she looks like from the side. And then we turn her around to the back, and that's what she looks like from the back. And you can see fully painted all the way around. And you know it's Aayla Secura right off the bat by that blue skin tone. So that's what we get from the Clone Wars. We would get some Black Series love as well this year in 2022. So the fact that we have that character, we can do the ultimate review for Aayla Secura. She did come on the card box over here depicting her picture there on the side. Aayla Secura, and of course that's her box from the front there. And then if we turn that around to the back, we can see it's got a nice little bio on the character, and it's mentioning that it's number 3 from Attack of the Clones. So that's the Black Series release. We have her loose over here to have a look at. And one thing that's interesting about this character is that, of course, with the female characters in the Black Series, it's very difficult for them to reuse parts. They have to use new sculpts, and she did get a new sculpt, which is nice. Interestingly enough, I find the head sculpt on the Vintage Collection figure a little more realistic to the actress than this one. This one comes out a little more, I don't know if it's cartoony or a little more animated look to her head, but that Clone Wars one is eerily reminiscent. Like, it almost looks exactly like the actress. If I bring that, you know, side by side just to look at the heads, you can kind of see the expression and the face and the look, the stare, that the Clone Wars one's a little more realistic. The Vintage Collection one's a little more realistic than the Black Series one, but the Black Series one doesn't disappoint. It's actually a really nice action figure. If I can get that one to stand there in the back. It's actually a really nice action figure. The sculpt's amazing. The skin tone, the color of the outfit is perfect. She does come with her own lightsaber. We'll have a look at that. It does have the little peg here on the hilt where you can plug that into her belt right over here. So that's her lightsaber. That's a more recent release on the action figure. Her head is on a ball, so you can turn her side to side, up and down slightly. If we take her head close up, we can have a nice little close up of how she looks in detail. And this is almost like sculpted like a separate piece, but it is stuck to the head there. The wrappings there on her head, and that's what she looks like there from the side. And you can see the wrappings painted all the way around. But again, you notice that those little details, like on the 3¾ inch one, aren't painted on there. Just the wrappings are on the 6-inch one. So the detail is not as well painted. As far as her outfit here, this is a separate piece that sits over Aayla Secura. She does have movement there at the waist, so you can move her side to side, up and down. She's got quite a bit of a posability there, forward and back. As far as up here, you can move her arm up fully. One thing that I really like about this character, the design, you don't see the top of the swivel here at all. It's hidden inside the character there. I'm not sure how they've done that, but you do have. At first, I thought she didn't have articulation to move her arm up, but you can see you can. You can't go fully up, but it doesn't wreck the design there on top. So full swivel all the way around there. She does have it there at the elbow as well. It doesn't disappoint. Okay, and then she does have it at the wrist as well, side to side. And then, of course, she does have that added articulation to move her arm down as well. So you can have her holding the lightsaber in many, many different poses. So that's articulation on her arms, at the waist. And down here, of course, swivel on the legs so you can have her kicking. Full motion there. She's not pinless. She does have the pins in there, but you can bend her knees fully there as well. She does have, swivel there at the boots. If we look down here at her ankles, she does have full movement there at her ankles where her boots are, and they are rocker ankles. So one thing that I always love about these Black Series figures, you can do the rocker ankle where you can have her standing in a nice action pose over there. So they did not cheap out there. They've given us full articulation on Aayla Secura. Same thing on the other leg as well. I didn't mention that it does have the slit there at the thigh, so you can turn her leg side to side there as well. So full articulation. That's what she looks like from the front. And then if we flip her upside down, we can see here underneath that she does have the foot pegs there, as well as the dates from Lucasfilm. That's the side profile. Okay, and that's what she looks like from the back as well. So fully detailed painted, and we finally have an Aayla Secura in 6-inch form. I've been waiting a lot of years. I mean, this line's almost been out for a decade and we haven't had a Aayla Secura action figure, and now we do. So it's great to see that they haven't given up on the Star Wars characters, especially with all the new media, and I hope that Hasbro keeps making more characters from the prequels as well as the original trilogy so we can populate our galaxy, whether you're a 3¾ inch collector or a 6-inch collector. It's nice to get love on both lines, and it's nice to be able to do reviews with both characters in there, both character designs on the 3¾ inch and 6-inch to give that vintage collection and Black Series love. So that's it for my Aayla Secura review. I hope that you've liked it. Hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoy making these videos. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. So please like and subscribe and have a great day. Thank you.